We all have a chance and an opportunity to look at every task or item to be done today. Think of your to-do list and think about whether or not you are doing your absolute best. With work, are you going through the motions? Or are you doing your absolute best right now? Don't think about what you've done in the past. Don't worry about what is coming in the future. Are you doing the very best with your work right now? Welcome to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast. I am your host, Jerald Simon. I am the founder of Music Motivation and the creator of the Cool Songs Club. Today's podcast is titled, Do Your Best. But what does it mean to be your best? What does it mean to do your best? If we are continually striving to outdo ourselves, will we ever actually be the best at whatever we are trying to do? The answer, of course, is no. And there will always be someone better than we are at whatever we do. Someone will always be smarter. Someone will always be faster, stronger, a better piano player. Someone will be in better shape. And even if we feel or believe that we are the best at whatever it is we do, we won't be the best for very long. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are not competing against each other. We are competing against ourselves to be and do our best. Last week, we talked about saying the phrase, I'd be delighted. We discussed how saying that simple phrase, I'd be delighted, actually can change your thoughts, which of course will change the words you choose to use, which changes your actions. It's a cause and effect. When we say I'd be delighted, it changes within us our views and perspectives about what we have either been asked to do or what we have asked ourselves we should do. For the positive perceptions portion of this podcast, I would like to read from my book, Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers. And this is a follow-up to last week's podcast on saying I'd be delighted. It's on page 36, and it says this. Say this phrase, I'd be delighted, when asked to do any task. This phrase will strengthen and empower you. Its words will inspire you and replace any pessimistic thoughts with an optimistic outlook. No matter how difficult the challenge may be, you will become better prepared to cheerfully do what has been asked of you if you happily say, I'd be delighted. Now, how does that help us as we discuss what it means to do and be our best? We all have a chance and an opportunity to look at every task or item to be done today. Think of your to-do list and think about whether or not you are doing your absolute best. With work, are you going through the motions? Or are you doing your absolute best right now? Don't think about what you've done in the past. Don't worry about what is coming in the future. Are you doing the very best with your work right now? With schooling, are you studying as hard as you can? Are you learning every concept, memorizing every new terminology? Are you focusing on what has been asked of you to make sure you do your best when taking your tests, when writing your essays? Are you doing your best? As an employee, are you doing your best? As an employer, are you doing your best? As a husband or a wife, are you doing your best? As a spouse, as a father, as a mother, as a child, as a son, as a daughter, as a grandfather, as a grandmother, are we doing our best? That is the question we must ask ourselves. For the Motivation in a Minute portion of this podcast, I would like to read from my book, Perceptions, Parables, and Pointers. This is on page 172. This is what it says. It's by Calvin Coolidge, a quote. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So in order for us to be our best, we must do our best, but we must persist. Persistence helps us pay the price to improve and progress. For the Music Within portion of this podcast, I would like to have us listen to Sweet Hour of Prayer. This is from my Hymns of the Heart album. It's a piano instrumental solo. Listen to this and let me know what you think. For the Poetry That Motivates portion of this podcast, I would like to read a poem from my new book, Poetry That Motivates. This is titled, Be a Little Better Today. It's on page 124 in the book. Be a little better today. Be a little more patient when problems perplex you today. Be a little more forgiving if others are unkind to you today. If others speak hurtful or untrue words, do not retaliate or do the same. Know you are better than what they say. Think of your legacy and your good name. Be a little better today than you have been before. You'll be better off for it. Think of the blessings that are in store. It is my hope that you will be the best version of yourself today. Learn from the mistakes of the past, but focus on what you are doing right now to be the best you can be today. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Hope you guys have a great week. Until next time, do your best, be your best, and continually strive to be better today than you were yesterday. Thanks for listening. See you guys. Bye. Subscribe to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast with Jerald Simon, to receive updates about each new weekly podcast. Every Monday, a new podcast is released to help motivate and inspire individuals to learn, to grow, to do, to be, and become the very best they can become. These are all motivational messages that inspire men and women of all ages to do and be their best, to set goals, to work on improving who they are and who they would like to become. Thank you again for listening. Connect with us on social media to become part of the conversation as we all work together to motivate each other to do and be our best. Thanks for listening to Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast. I am your host, Jerald Simon, and I'm grateful to have you listen to this podcast. Every Monday we come out with a brand new podcast, and you can listen to it on any of the podcast streaming sites available. Just search for Music, Motivation, and More, the Positivity Podcast with Jerald Simon. Any of the music that I've shared in these podcasts, you can listen to. All of my music is available on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon, and any streaming site available. You can also check out my music books at musicmotivation.com, and you can find my poetry, self-help, and motivational books available from Amazon.com, from Barnes & Noble, and from all different online shops and stores. If you have any questions about the music that I create through my company Music Motivation, you can learn more at musicmotivation.com, and you can visit my website coolsongsclub.com to learn more about how I create fun, cool piano music that helps motivate piano students to want to play the piano the fun way, especially during their teenage years. I'd love to have you check that out. But thank you again for listening. Please feel free to connect with me on any of the social media sites out there. You can watch my YouTube videos on youtube.com/Jerald Simon. You can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all social media sites at Jerald Simon. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, keep up the great work and have fun. See you guys. Bye.